Hi, Tyler here, and happy Autism Awareness Day. So, even though I typically use this channel to talk about Christian music, today I'm gonna change the subject a little bit and talk about my autism in light of Autism Awareness Day. I really want people to understand it accurately, so thankfully I got a few questions that I'm gonna make my way through and hopefully can give you a better understanding of autism by the end of this video. So the first question I got is, are people born with autism or do they develop it? This is something I admit I had to look up a little bit, but here is kind of what I found. So autism, whether or not a person has autism, there's a lot of genetic factors that tend to be involved. So by all means likely, if somebody has autism like I have, chances are pretty good they were born with it, but it can develop a little bit after birth too. But it sounds like from what I found is that it's very early on in life. So pretty much it's developed at birth, but can also be developed shortly thereafter. So the next question I'm going to answer is, what is the autism spectrum? So there's a phrase in the autism community that I think would be helpful to determine what the word spectrum means when it comes to autism, and that is, when you met one person with autism, you only met that one person with autism. Hopefully I didn't butcher that phrase, but basically, even if it was a paraphrase, I said what I meant to say. Anyhow, if you met one person with autism, you only met that one person with autism, meaning no two people with autism are exactly alike. There are commonalities that make us all autistic, but then we all have our differences too. We have different levels of functioning, like high functioning or lower functioning, different verbal level. Some are nonverbal, some don't talk much, some talk a lot. And then there's different levels of employment as well. Like, there are some autistic people who work a full-time job. There are some, like myself, who have never held a job. Though, to be clear, I do hope one day to hold a job, but have been able to pick up a number of volunteer opportunities. And then there are some in the autism community that aren't able to work. So, and then there are different levels of social skills as well. Some people with autism might have easier time socializing with others than others. With other people than other autistic people might. However, it's important to remember that no matter where an autistic person may fall on the autism spectrum, and this is where the being born with it part comes in. Autism is a unique part of how God made every single individual with autism, no matter what level of functioning. At the end of the day, we are all equal in value and all have something to bring to the table in God's eyes. The final question I'm going to answer today is, when you're with a group of people, does autism affect them? And the answer is absolutely, it does. So, one big example I've been noticing lately is I have a lot of energy, and I'm going to refer back to the volunteering I mentioned earlier. So, I volunteer at a store 1 or 2 days a week when not working on videos, and I have a lot of energy. I'm jumping up and down. That's because of my autism. And also, too, though, the positive way that manifests itself, I feel like, is a lot of the light of Christ shine through me. And a lot of people like my enthusiasm and jumping up and down and giving energy. But sometimes I'm told there are times that I need to turn down. There's also times when it can be a turnoff to people, and unfortunately, I kind of don't always keep good control over that, as maybe I should. But like I said, it can be a positive too. Another way that I would say my autism affects people when I'm with them is I can be very honest about how I feel a lot of times, so people definitely know what I think. Also, too, I take people literally a lot of times, which often makes me a taker for a lot of teasing. Because people like to pull a fast one on me, so to speak. Another way that my autism affects people when I'm with them. So, a lot of times I can talk about my special interests a lot, which you shouldn't be surprised to know, considering y'all watch the show and know what I talk about every week. And that is music, namely Christian music, even though I can talk a lot about heavier music as well. And people, thankfully, are very accepting and very willing to listen to my interests. Unfortunately, sometimes I'm not as good about listening to others' interests as well. And sometimes I could probably go on about my own interests a little bit much, to be honest. Overall, though, I think about my autism affecting people when I'm with them is I think people see the positive attitude, the way I handle my autism positively, and they ultimately enjoy being around my autism and positivity.